playing at Division I athlete, like there was no, can you please go mark them? Can you please go get the ball? There was no please and thank you. It was go.
Yeah.
And so the response of that isn't negative. They know their role and they know their position. And so if you say, I'm going for the ball, and I say, I'm going for the ball, and not one of us dominates that, we go and we stop. We've seen it on the baseball field where we go, I got it, and the ball drops. And so if everybody owns it, nobody owns it, because I thought you were doing it. I thought you were getting the ball. People do want those boundaries, those guardrails. They don't want micromanage, but they want to know what their guardrails are. And some people will bump up against those, and that's okay.
Welcome back to another episode of The Founder's Hustle, a show where everyday entrepreneurs share their story and lessons learned along the way. Today's episode is a little different, but in a really good way. We're diving into a topic that quietly impacts every business, every team, and every leader. And that is leading with clear expectations. So joining me today is Michele Mollard, an EOS leadership coach and someone I've personally known for over 20 years. I actually met Michele on the soccer field way back when. I may have been 18 or 19 at the time. And I was playing on a very sassy women's soccer team. All right. This is post-high school, but in our minds, we still felt like we were players. And Michele came in from out of town and she was scoping us out very, very cautiously. She ended up joining our team, and I learned that her background is she played for Boston College. Mm-hmm. So trumped us tenfold. But even back then, I could see that she definitely has leadership skills and leadership qualities, even on the soccer field. Mm. In fact, today we're going to fuse some of those concepts together as we talk through our leadership discussion today. Mm. So real quick, when you first walked up and down that field and were checking out the big burrito at the time, like what was that thought? What went through your head?
Twofold, right? Was, there's always a little bit of, am I good enough, right? And I'm not saying imposter syndrome, but am I good enough? Like I didn't know what I was walking into. And so that's kind of why I scoped it out. So I was actually playing for a different team, and I came early because I know the game was playing. And so I was like putting on my cleats, kind of trying to be cool and watching them. I'm like, oh, they're good. I'm like, this will be fun, because the team that I was playing with wasn't that good. And it was fine, but it was, I still was ready to be competitive and still play at that level. And so that was the first impression. And then the other one was like, I do want a team to play better with, to work harder with, to still keep my skills. I was a little bit older than you. I was in my 20s because I had graduated college, but just. Yeah. And so 22, 23, somewhere right around in there. And so that was kind of what I was thinking, is like, I still want to play competitively. I still have what I have, but I want a team that's going to challenge me and be able to pick me up or join in and kind of fuse in and make the team better.
Well, and that's it. So Michele was a defender, and we used to call her the brick house. If you got past Michele, nobody got past Michele. So there was no if. You just didn't do it. But so anyway, so we're going to talk about leadership and why clear expectations matter. So I just want to find out, like, what is it about clear expectations? I mean, explain to us what you mean by clear expectations.
Yeah, I think everyone has a different idea, right? So I'll just use my experience of that is, you and I were talking about it from a soccer analogy, right? Like everybody has their position, everybody has their seat, but at the same time, it doesn't mean like, oh, I'm a defender and I can't go score goals. Like if I have an opportunity to dribble that ball up the field and score a goal, I'm going to score a goal, right? And so, but it's truly knowing what my role is fundamentally as a defender and saying like, even if I did it and I lost the ball, I better boogie back because I have responsibilities back there. Yeah. And so for me, it's very clear expectations in the workforce now, translating that is, what does my everyday look like? Like on a weekly basis, what are the activities that I'm expected to do, clearly defined and executed through in the world of EOS, we call it a scorecard. And so KPIs, dashboards, whatever you want to call it, we call it a scorecard. We're pretty sportsy kind of thing. So it's a scoreboard, a scorecard. People like to know what score is. Judy, you and I talked about this too, but like I used to coach little kids, and at little kids, they don't keep score. But every time they came off the field, they go, Miss Mollard, guess what? We're winning. They're keeping score at 4, 5, 6 years old. And so everybody kind of wants to know what a keeping score is. So I also say, yes, the definition of clear expectations, but people want it. people do want those boundaries, those guardrails. They don't want micromanage. I'm sure we'll talk about that. They don't want micromanage, but they want to know what their guardrails are. And some people will bump up against those, and that's okay. And some people will clearly act within them and not bump up against those. But I'm just saying in this, kind of like we're on video here, but defining exactly what that is through process, through clarity. And it's not just defining it, it's also getting a feedback loop. And I know we'll talk more about that, is kind of like, am I doing okay? And people want that too, and they need that too. So that's kind of my mindset around clear expectations. It's every day, what am I supposed to be doing? And if we lay that out and they're great at it, is in the world of VOS, we call right people, right seats. If they're great at that seat, if they're a great defender, then they'll just act on it. Like, you guys didn't have to do much coaching with me. I knew what I was supposed to do. There's a few things of nuances about how we play and how we gel as a team. Yeah, I had to get used to that culture, right? That's the culture.
Right.
But I knew what my expectations are. Right people, right seat.
Yeah, no, I love that. The right people, right seat.
Yeah.
I remember an analogy before also utilizing soccer is, if you're a really good, strong left-footed player, you can make a goal with that left foot right any day, you just pass me the ball.
Yes.
I'm not going to play well if you put me on the left side of the field and I have to kick with my right foot. So, it's, going back to your whole, put the person in the right position, the right seat on the bus.
Absolutely.
So talk about me in terms of, how it can break a team. First of all, let's talk about, how do we set clear expectations and what's the result if they are not clear expectations set for them?
Yeah, for us and for my kind of leadership, kind of what I believe about it, it's not only us as leaders of the organization to dictate it. And so when we're setting expectations, it's coming along and saying, hey, this is what I need from you. Do you agree? Right? And so when the buy-in is there and all the people are talking like that, their buy-in is absolutely there. And so if we just say, do this, do this, do this, do this, they don't feel the love. They don't feel the passion. They don't feel that they're part of the team. And so when we're setting those clear expectations, saying, hey, I'm a leader of the organization, I should know at least 90% of it. And saying, it starts with the interview process, right? Like, this is what I want from you. This is what I need from you. This is what I'm expecting from you. Can you deliver? Of course, in that piece. But once they come in, this is what I want. So we're really clearly, but also saying, like, do you agree with these, right? And that buy-in and that push, right, is back from there. And so hopefully that is like just literally saying, if you're a salesperson, I need you to make 15 sales calls a day. I need you to follow up with the people that you talked to yesterday. I need you to send proposals out in 24 hours. I need you to, right? Everything is laid out. What's all the activities for them to be a great salesperson to ultimately get us great sales in the organization? Yeah.
Going into that.
Yeah.
What percentage of leaders are good at setting clear expectations based on what you just said?
Not a lot. Not a lot. I think that they think there's such a fear of micromanaging. There's such a fear of, if I put all these expectations, they won't stay, or they won't know what to do, or maybe it's too much. And so I just passionately plead, saying people want guardrails. People want clarity. You asked the question about what will happen if they don't. Well, how will it break an organization? It'll break it so quickly. It'll break culture. It's harder to manage of people. Right. And so if I say Judy and Michele are salespeople, and I say, Judy and Michele, you must make 15 phone calls, like it could be a little bit different based on skill set or seniority. But then I know I don't have to manage your personality. Clearly, you were supposed to make 15 sales calls. Michele was supposed to make 15 sales calls. What's the problem, Judy? Like, how are you not doing that? What's happening? Oh, well, it's a conversation around the territory. The territory doesn't have that many customers. Oh, now we have a conversation about, like, oh, I've set her up to fail as a leader because there's not that many people to call, right? Or something, or that version of it. But it is a matter of, I can just manage the process. I can manage the expectations. I don't have to manage, I say, personalities. We want to know the culture. I want to know you. You are wired differently than I am. I need to motivate you differently. I need to reward you differently. I need to do those things differently. But I can really manage the process. And it takes, I don't want to say it takes the emotion or the feeling out of it, because I still, love you as an employee, and I still want to pour into you. But it takes the ego and this kind of like gut feel. Like, I know by data, by expectations, that I know if you're performing or not performing. I can still love you and do all those things differently than I would. I don't say love, like, don't get into the whole, I actually do like you a lot as a person, because we know each other. But like, when I'm saying not crossing that boundary with employees, but you still, our passion is doing what you love with people you love, right? And it's not a weird thing. It's, I really want these people to be successful. And if you do, that it's clear is kind, right?
Yeah.
Brown, clear is absolutely kind.
I love that. that saying, clear is kind.
Yes.
I mean, yes, that is absolutely accurate.
And you and I even talked about it, like, so on the soccer field, and not as much with us, right?
Yeah.
Because it was a little bit of a league, but playing at Division I athlete, like there was no, can you please go mark them? Can you please go get the ball? There was no please and thank you. It was
Right.
go.
Yeah.
And so the response of that isn't negative. They know their role and they know their position. And so it's easy to say, Judy, go make 15 field goals. Got it. Because I know I'm wired that way and I want to do that. And so same thing on the soccer field, same thing in any sports. It's not asking somebody to go do it. It's like, Judy, get that guy. Like, right now, go get that ball. And
Yeah.
we go. And so that was part of my role as directing people. Again, not as much with us because we're kind of it was just a club sport, but it was my role in college.
Well, and it's instinctual, right? First of all, it's instinctual because we were good at soccer. We knew what we needed to do.
For
We
sure.
knew what our role was, but more so, we were passionate. Like we love the game. We love the game.
Yeah.
Not every employee is going to be passionate. So when you set those clear expectations, say, Judy, go make 15 phone calls, go chase down that defender,
Right.
whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
If they're lacking passion, then what?
Yeah, I would say you're a little bit in a rock and a hard place. And so really working with a lot of the teams that I work with, it's we talk about it from a get it, want it capacity, right? And so get it is in their head. So this is probably no announce if anybody knows me. I don't do finance as well. Like I don't do numbers. I don't do finance. It was the first seat, like on an org chart, an accountability chart. It was the first person I hired. I hired a CPA with a bookkeeper because I wanted nothing to do with QuickBooks. I didn't even want to set it up. I go, you set it up. You tell me where it puts. I literally don't do anything with it because I will not pay taxes. It will be like not on purpose, right? But it would just be like, oh crap, right? Because it's not my love ingredient. So I'm not passionate about it. So if somebody's not passionate, then get it. Their head is not wrapped around it. Their want it is not there. And so we've got to find the people that get it and want it. And so salespeople are wired differently than a HR person. I'm not in that far, but like a CPA or something like that. And so you're just trying to find those people that are passionate about what it is. But I do think there's also a way to engage them in the work that they do to understand that they're making an impact in the culture. They're on this boat with us or rowing in the same direction.
Right.
And so you can make up for some of their, like I have a company that is a meat processor, right? They process animals as live to not live. And that's not sexy. No one grows up and says, I want to do that. But they're working on changing that culture and being a part of it and saying, what do you need? What is this? Well, how do you feel like? And it's just amazing. Their passion statement is about keeping the farmer's livelihood alive. Like that's what they're there for. And they really want to be a part of that. And so they're trying to get their people to understand that they have an impact in the idea that farming and cattle raising is alive and needs to stay alive, right? And so many different ways to be able to engage with people. I kind of went off on a tangent there and I get really passionate about it, as you can see. It's really
no, that's good.
something that I love.
That's super fantastic. So how does clarity prevent micromanagement? I know you spoke about micromanagement a couple of times earlier, but with clarity, how is that preventing micromanagement?
Yeah, so I'll caveat this in saying if we have a great leader that doesn't divert to micromanagement, then we can do this. There are leaders, I have met them, that's the way they have grown up in their career because they have been taught to micromanage humans. And so you actually have, it's a skill and it's a learned behavior. So I've had teams where I've had to undo that behavior. And so some people think management is micromanagement. They don't even know that they're really micromanaging, right? And so it's a beautiful thing to be able to look at that and say, okay, so here's what I need for you to do for the week. If I have right people, right seat, meaning they get it, they want it, they have the capacity, I don't need to have a conversation with them every single day to see if they met it. At the end of the week, when we have our meeting, I look at the numbers and I say, good, have a great week. See a great job, keep rolling, right? I mean, there's some conversations of you might have some things to work through. Hey, the customer wanted this, but I don't look at those numbers. I don't worry about every single day because I know that they need to have 15 calls for that week. And then I don't have to micromanage them. I manage them in the end of the week and say, okay, you had 10. What happened? I kind of shared that scenario already. And so the micromanagement comes in every single day. I've had the scenario where I had a sales manager. He would call me at noon and be like, how many phone calls did you do? At the end of the day, call me at 5. How many calls did you do? micromanagement, right? And so if that's what we're talking about, and that's how he knew. I was young and I didn't know, I didn't like it, and so I'll share this. A lot of salespeople, if you micromanage salespeople, they will leave quickly. They are wired to perform, and they are wired to be able to get it done. Now we have people that aren't meeting their goals. What does that look like, right? And so the need is, Jim Collins did this in when he was writing the book Good to Great. The first time you need to micromanage somebody, you've probably made a hiring decision poorly. And so it goes back to there. Maybe we didn't interview them deeply. Maybe we didn't set up the expectations well. And so then you're like, oh, I got to dig in, right? And we didn't train them well, and saying, I need you to make 15 phone calls, but you haven't told them how. And so they're calling on, I don't know, a target market that doesn't fit.
Right.
Or they're trying to get done a task that doesn't fit into the process. Well, then we feel like we have to, right, get in there and do that. And so sometimes I personally feel that the reason why micromanagement exists is because we as leaders haven't set up those clear expectations in the very beginning, and they don't understand them and they don't know what their roles are. And so as soon as we can do those clearly, then it stops the need to have to go to micromanagement, unless we have a bad hire. And if we do, then we make decisions from that. Right. And so a little bit, two little things there, right? Because some people are wired because that's how they were raised to be micromanagers.
Yeah.
But we can break that. That's an easy skill set to choose to change.
So then, okay, so let's go back then. Setting clear expectations is part of this whole process. Walk me through the other legs of the process. We want to set expectations. What else is involved in leading with clarity?
Yeah, I think tying expectations to process, tying it to so I'll kind of break it down in how it all works in my head, right? So here's a job description, and that has a lot of detail on it. Then I break it down into the 5 roles, 5 things that they are mega, summed up, right? Summarized, like squished in, right? Like you have this sales calls, you have to do this follow up, whatever that might be. And then that ties to the process. So I've got a job description that I agree upon. Then I break it down once I'm in, and I say, okay, these are the 5 things that I am really responsible for. Those 5 things directly tie to a process somewhere that they have been trained on, they've been measured on. So there's their scorecard item, and then they're managed on, right? And so it's taking that bigger level and then breaking it down into smaller chunks that they can then recognize their ability to be able to do it. But then tying it to the next step is tying it to say that if you don't do that, or you do that, that helps the company do this. And so many times we think about not sharing profit and loss. We think about not sharing revenue and profit to employees. But the point is that they don't really know how they're doing their widget. Like if we took a manufacturer, right? And this is a true story. It was a prospect. I didn't get the company. I didn't get the job, which is fine. But I went out on the shop floor and I said, in a big stamping company, and I said, hey, do you think that this person wants to know what that CNC machine is making, a piece of what it's making? It was making a piece for a medical device that was saving lives. And he goes, my employees don't care. I said, can I ask them? Can I just ask him? I said, he said, yes, ask him. Again, remember, I didn't get the job. But I asked the employee, I said, do you care what that is? And his initial response was no. And he goes, see, and I told you. And I looked at him and I go, do you know that is piece of machinery that you're making is saving lives? Every single day that's going into a bigger piece of machinery that's saving lives. And he kind of is an older gentleman. He kind of looked at me and goes, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, I don't think it cheap, right? But he's been in his whole life. I think he was probably in his 50s at the time, maybe even 60s. His whole life, he hasn't shared the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And so sharing the bigger picture and sharing what they're a part of and doing all those things. So it's not always about clear expectations. And you said, hey, we've got people that aren't engaged, that aren't going to meet those expectations. It might be because they don't feel that they're involved. They don't feel like it, right? This whole millennial generation, it wants to be a part of the why. They want to know what's going on. That's one of like if you do the Gallup poll, now it's saying in the know is one of the top 5 things that they want. And so sharing, yes, their expectations, but sharing to them what they're affecting the bigger picture, how they're affecting the profit and loss, all of those things really matter into getting them more engaged and getting
well, and it's interesting that you say that. One, sharing a real story about a gentleman in the CNC shop.
Yeah.
My own personal experience, I am a director of marketing in my full-time job. But I hear from my staff who
Mhm.
some are younger,
Mhm.
and some are probably mid-level.
Okay.
But they do want to know. They precisely want to know. They want to understand. If I write a blog post, if I
Mhm.
send out an email, if I like, what am I doing to help move the organization in the right? It's interesting to me because back in my younger days, it probably wasn't really top of mind for me. But now that it is changing, where
Yes.
I agree with everything that you're saying, in that knowing the why,
Yeah.
knowing and understanding the bigger picture, it just helps give you more motivation and understanding that you're not just writing a blog on finances. You're helping somebody understand something that fundamentally not everybody gets or
Correct.
cares to get.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
So it kind of feels like it got, I'll be honest, it kind of feels like the conversation got skewed on my part, but it's really, again, that's about the expectations. So it's not just expectations of their daily task, it's expectations of how they engage in this business and moving it forward or not moving it forward, right? And so when they don't do something or they make a part wrong or they don't care about how it is and this, this just goes in the trash, this goes in the trash, they're not realizing how that's affecting a P&L. They're not realizing how that would affect loss, right? And saying, okay, we've made 1,600 parts, make extreme, right? 200 of them are garbage. What is that costing us?
Yeah.
And if we don't share with that, they don't care.
Right.
They might not care anyway, but then I'll go back to the get it, want it capacity.
Yeah.
What's their get it, want it capacity just for being a good human and saying, well, do you do that in your home life?
Yeah.
Like, right? Do you buy $200 worth of groceries and throw $100 out the window? No, you don't.
So what is so as part of EOS,
Yeah.
where you're an implementation coach,
Yes.
leadership coach,
Yes.
what does your checklist look like? What does that look like when you go into a business? Kind of walk me through a scenario, how you look at it, how you dissect it, and then how you help them form clarity around what you want to do.
Yeah.
Walk me through that.
Yeah, many times when I walk in initially, we have a lot of people doing a lot of things. And I talk about it in, like, if you look at an org chart, there's boxes, right? And people in there. So I talk about those boxes being sandboxes, like little sandboxes, like play, those sandboxes, right? And so we have 4 people playing around in the sales sandbox. We have 4 people playing around, right? Owner, finance leader in the finance box, right? And then we've got, I don't even know, sometimes 6, 7 people playing around in the operations box. What the first conversation is, no, guys, we have to delineate. There has to be one person that owns it. So if you say, I'm going for the ball, and I say, I'm going for the ball, and not one of us dominates that, we go and we stop. We've seen it on the baseball field where we go, I got it, and the ball drops, right? And so the same thing happens in this. And so if everybody owns it, nobody owns it because I thought you were doing it. I thought you were getting the ball. I thought you were getting the ball, right? Oops. And so this is what we start with initially, is saying, like, we need one leader in the sales seat. We need one leader that's heading the operations. We need one leader that owns and gets everything done on finance and starts to set that clear expectation. And then it's usually in the smaller organizations, and not even in smaller organizations, the owner has been in all those seats. And so for them to delineate and be able to say, I just need to be in the owner seat, or what we call the visionary seat or integrator seat, I need to find people and trust them. Goes back to getting wanted capacity, goes back to setting their expectations, because sometimes we haven't set the clear expectations. So the owner has to go in the sandbox to help, because that person doesn't have a clear expectation of what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And so they dive back in. I call them F5 tornadoes. They come in. So if you're watching this and it's a little too close to heart, then I get it. But this is more of an analogy than somebody who might be in the tornado belt. But they come in, they make a big mess, and they leave in a hurry. And everybody else is left to clean it up. And so when the owner comes into the sales box, the operations box, or the finance box and says, oh, do this, this is the way I did it, you're not letting them own that. And so you haven't given them clear expectations of how to do that, and then let go. You have to have, again, get it, want it capacity, right people. They would love to do that. Don't put me in that finance seat. I'll say clearly in the sales seat, right? But once we do that, then that's how we do it. So that's kind of the checklist that we go through very beginning, is starting to have the understanding of these. And I don't want them to think about silos, meaning that I can't go in it. Here's the thing, why I share them. I'm building a sandcastle. I'm head of sales. I'm going to build a sandcastle. I invite Judy to come help me make the sandcastle better, but Judy cannot come in my sandcastle and kick it down. Oh, that's how I teach them. Okay. Because it's not your box. Yeah. Right? You're in the operations box, right? And so I want your help, because operations and sales has to work really well together. But you just can't come in and go, that's not the way you do all of that.
Right.
It's my sandcastle. I have the ownership, not literally in the business, but the ownership, the entrepreneur mindset to own it, to develop it, do what I want, get feedback from everybody. But hey, Judy, if I do this in sales, I think it's going to mess up your team. Is it? Yeah, it is. Okay, so let's talk about it.
Right.
So we have the boxes, we have the site, but it's my box and your box. We have to get along.
Yes.
That's one of the biggest checklists that we do. The second biggest checklist is this thing, the concept of a scorecard. Is everybody having a measurable, at least in the entire organization, all the way down to janitors, having an expectation to say, okay, the bathrooms have to be cleaned every day. That's a measurable, guys. Like we think it's hard to give people measurables. It's not. It's like I can do anything that you have in an organization and give them a weekly activity that makes them successful. It makes them feel successful. Answering the phone on 2 rings. Did we do it every single time? Right? There's bots that'll tell me if they didn't or didn't. Right? It's easy. It's easy to track. If that's important, track it. Right? To make sure invoices go out in 24 hours. To make payables done in 24 hours. Like no AR past 130,000. Right? Weekly. All of those expectations need to be done. And so for them to be able to do that checklist and be able to know what those things are. And then the last piece is making sure the processes are tied to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's bigger picture. I actually do not do the work, right? I'm more of a teacher, facilitator, and a coach than a consultant.
Okay.
And that's how we see all of us as EOS implementers. And so I will give them this framework, but they have to go do the work. Right. And so if I did the work, there's no buy-in. Right. It's kind of like I think one of the little things that you've said as an analogy is there's a coach for the soccer team on purpose, but he can't play the game too. Right. He can't just come off the side. It doesn't work. Right. There's got to be those leaders, and somebody still has to do the work and have the passion to be able to play the game. And like business is important, but it is a game. We are playing a game. As we're doing that, is my job and your job as we go through life. So it's not as defined as a true checklist. Like it's not this piece of paper, right? It's not that checklist of it, but there's lots of things that go into it. And I think the one thing that I'd like to share, Judy, do I have your permission to riff a little bit? The scorecard. So people are always saying, oh, Michele, the reason why we feel like you have to develop a scorecard with us is because there's not high trust. There's not accountability. And I go, that is polar opposite. And so again, people grow up in their careers with scorecards, KPIs, dashboards as sticks, like you must kind of a thing, as opposed to I want to.
Yes.
And so changing the mindset around the checklist of accountability, the checklist of how do we get clear expectations is high trust teams want to be held accountable. Highly accountable people want to be held accountable. And that's why you have top performers that will not slide. If you have performers on your team that are B players and C players, your A players or whatever, your top performers will not go to C. They just won't underperform, right? Like on the soccer field, it won't underperform. They will always perform.
Yeah.
And so why bother, right? And so you're always having that. And so I just wanted to make sure that people understand that there's a lot. We have these called 7 truths. I won't bore you with the 7 of them. I have them on my sheet just in case. But it really is about that, like switching your mindset around clear expectations. Again, clear is kind. Do it. High performance teams love to have expectations. They love to know what they're doing. High performing teams love to keep score. Not that they're all competitive. I'd be like, oh, that's a competitive environment. It's not.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to keep score of some sort.
Yep. I like that. So, okay, I've used this analogy over and over again, and this is certainly nothing new to anybody, but there are good coaches. There are bad coaches. Good coach is going to elevate you to be and perform at your highest level.
Yes.
A bad coach may make you hate the sport to the fact that you'll never play it again.
Correct.
So good leader, bad leader.
Yeah.
Good leader is going to turn an organization, a team, an individual into one of the highest performers, somebody who's passionate and wants to get up and perform well.
Yes.
Bad leader is going to start turnover. So my question is, there are many a times I have heard in my course of career, people talk about how did Susie, how did Johnny get into the position, a position way up top that has leadership and authority, the highest level of a coach, that just doesn't know how to be a good leader, a good coach. That affects the organization. It can affect it positively, it can affect it negatively.
For sure.
But how do you, I don't know if there's anything that you can do per se, but how do you face an organization when you see maybe bad leadership sitting at the top. Like,
Sure.
what
Yeah.
what advice do you give
Fire
them?
them. No, I'm just kidding.
No, just
Just kidding. That's that Division One athlete. Just get rid of them. That's not true. That's not how I feel about it. Just having fun. But yeah, I think so kind of reverting back, right? So oftentimes it's called the Peter Principle. If anybody knows it, we've taken the best salesperson, and because of the best salesperson, we make them the manager of it because they're great at the sales.
yes.
And so we lose twice. And so many times, and it can be sales, it can be operations leader, it can be whatever you want. They are great at doing their thing. They're great at being a player on the team, but they're not a great coach. And so we as leaders have to recognize that not every great top performer is a leader of men, is a leader of humans. And so to the point, so I just wanted to caveat that, that we have to recognize that first. And so when we are looking to elevate somebody, there is a lot of questions about that. And I'm very, very specific saying, look, this is how I ask the question. Do you want, if you are in the manager's seat, so I'll use this kind of as an interview. Judy, if you're in the manager's seat, do you want to elevate your team so that ultimately they take your job and you're out of a job? And if the answer is no, then I know that I maybe not have that. I might have to do more coaching. I might have to do more conversations, but your answer is exactly right.
Do you get a lot of do you get people that say no, that don't understand the concept?
Yeah, I get some people that say absolutely not. Like I that's my seat, right? And so then you get this, right? You you get some potentially non-leadership skills that'll show up in that way. And again, I'm not saying it's done right there. There's more conversations. And so it's never just done to the conversation. But if someone says, yeah, I'm good with that, I'll find something better to do or I'll elevate my game. Right. Then I don't have to have much more conversations. I've got somebody. And there's a little bit more about like what it is that they do. Can they hold people accountable? Can they do that sort of stuff? But if there's some people saying, Michele, I don't really understand that question. Great. Then I'm thinking, okay, this is a learner, right? So there's some certain skill sets that you want in that leadership ability that you're looking for, and saying, okay, so what do I mean by that? Meaning that if you're seeing Sally do really, really great, or do good here. Let me just put it this way: do good here at this job. But they're always seeming to like gravitate to operations. And if you as the leader said, hey, I think that they'd be better in operations, right? So Judy, you're the leader of operations. And I'm saying, hey, I got Joe over here that I think he really would like to be in operations, but I cannot afford to give them to you. I should be able to say, Judy, take them. I'll worry about my team when it is, because I'm holding Joe back. Right. Joe wants to be in operations. Get it on a capacity. Give him everything that he needs. That's what a leader will do, and saying, they're going to be better over there. It will hurt my team. I will be down a man. I'll have to go do sales calls. I'll have to do whatever as a leader. But that's the leadership ability of saying, I'm not going to hold somebody else back to protect myself. Right. And so there's some things that we can ask them to think, that they think like a leader. They think about how my behavior as a leader will affect other people. And if they're not willing to, we do a tool called Delegate and Elevate. And so there's 4 quadrants. If you can imagine a piece of paper, 4 quadrants. And the top left is what I love and I'm great at, and what I'm like and I'm good at. And if there's not people management in there, training in there, leading in there, growth stuff in that top piece, then they shouldn't be there, right? It's a good and don't like, or a don't like and not good at. And if that is your people, and if you guys are doing the Delegate and Elevate, then get out, do your company a favor, do your employees, do your coworkers a favor, and recognize that that is not a skill for you, and that you need to step back. And again, go back into be sales and be the best darn salesperson ever. You just don't want to lead humans. And so there is a lot of conversations that we can have, a few things that we can put really quickly in their brains and have a conversation to know that that's going to trigger leadership style or not leadership style. And the last thing I'll just end on, it's not ours as EOS, but a company called Strategic Coach. They have coined this phrase called unique ability. Okay. What is your unique ability? And so we're elevating always to just feed into that unique ability. And so when I first started, I was in all the seats of my accountability chart, except finance, of course, as I said. But then I was like, okay, so I'm in marketing, I'm in sales, I'm in deliverable, right? The operations side of this. As I'm growing, I'm like, I can't be in the marketing seat anymore. I've got to hire that. And so great leaders will recognize that I've got a deficiency. It's not what I love and great. I'm good at it, right? But now I want to move into speaking. So offboarding that to somebody else now gives me the opportunity to start focusing on being a public speaker. Like I want to go out there and train on the national circuit and become a part of the national speaking circuit and all those things. I have now let go of hours so I can get into my unique ability, which is hopefully I'm on stage well and presenting well. But I've been told enough that, hey, Michele, you should go start to do that piece.
Yeah.
And so that's recognizing a leader to say, I'm not good at that. I need to offboard that. I need to find people that aren't. So finding people who are your weakness. Right. I'm decent at details, but I'm not great at details. So I'm just hiring Jen, who's my practice manager. She does all the details. She does everything for me. And I have to measure, right? So all of those things shows leadership abilities.
Yeah. Find your opposite. That's what Kenny was saying on the episode. He's like, find your opposite. He goes, that's how you.
Yeah.
No, what your passion is to get on stage, you become a public speaker, which is right up your alley. One of my passions is to help emerging leaders understand good coach, good leader, bad leader. I have seen and lived both. And trying to minimize, if I could just absolutely reduce to nothing the bad coach, bad leader, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But it's getting people to that mindset of understanding what a good coach, good leader looks like. Because ultimately my responsibility in life is to pass the torch on to the next leader. Their responsibility is to be a good leader and pass the torch to the next leader. Because what you alluded to earlier is that micromanagers don't mean to be a micromanager. It's just what they knew.
It's how they were taught generationally sometimes.
If you have bad manager teaching somebody else who then becomes a bad manager, you have a lifeline of bad managers. So it's like I'm trying to single-handedly prevent that one step at a time. I don't know how that looks or what, except for right now, it's me internally with my staff helping them understand what does a good leader look like? You know, is she authentic? Is she truthful? Does she give me the space and ability to be me and do me and not micromanage, but give me, I say bumpers. I think of bowling alley.
Bumpers, guardrails.
Here's the bumpers. You know, you go down the alley and every now and then you might bump them, but for the most part, we're going to keep you right in the same lane that you need to be. So,
they appreciate that.
TEDx, do you see yourself doing one?
I would love to do one. That would be a blast someday. Yeah.
But you have local ones that you
They do.
Okay. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's just
you
it's actually
have stories ruminating in your head right now.
I definitely have.
You want to?
Yeah, I definitely have stories. I definitely have topics. I have things that I've already spoken on a smaller stage that are there, and it's just been a 2026. So if you're watching this in 2027, 28, who knows what I'm doing? But it's a 26 goal, so it's just started. Right, it's early in the year. So it's a journey, right? And you have to start on the smaller stages and do things.
Oh,
like
heck
that.
yeah!
So there might be a book in there somewhere. I'm not really sure where.
Woo!
That's not this year.
We've got leadership, Michele. We have public speaker, Michele, and soon an author. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, Judy, let's talk about hard conversations if you don't mind.
Oh gosh, yes.
Like
that's what. Ooh, yes, please.
Yeah, and some people, no one ever likes them, but some people are good at doing them. And so I just want to share a few things that have helped me get through that. And so thinking about it as employees, right? So I'm your boss and you're my employee. And if I have poured into you with all the praise, everything that you need, giving you the guardrails, giving all those things, I will go out on a limb and say, I could literally remove by feedback, right? Some harsh feedback that I could deliver to you and pull out of your gas tank, probably half of the gas. And you would not be loving it, but you would at least stay engaged.
Yes.
The problem is when we're giving hard conversations or having hard conversations, we haven't poured into them enough to fill the gas tank. So when we make a withdrawal, we're not hitting the bottom of the barrel or trying to dig negative into a well that's not there. And so again, I use that just analogy, whatever you want, put a gas tank or whatever analogy you want. And so sometimes that's it. And so we have to make sure that we're balancing the praise and the criticism. Now, I'm not saying everybody gets a trophy. I'm not, because I'm not wired that way.
Right.
But there is hey, great job. Like people just want it. And what is the harm in doing it? They're not going to get a big head if they're great. They're not going to get entitlement. People are like, oh, they're going to feel entitled. Are you kidding me? Like, if they're going to feel entitled, that's just a core value they believe in, right? If they're an entitled person, they are an entitled person, period. You can't change a core value. And so I just want to share that is that there's a great book out there, Kim Scott, Radical Candor, right? And it's all about, I can deliver the worst news to anybody and it will land a little hard, but it will still land with an engaging conversation because I have poured into enough. I have done enough candor, enough all of those conversations to say I can do something radical by giving you feedback and saying, Judy, like what you did yesterday was really, really bad. And we have to put you on a performance impact plan. And this is why. It's never going to feel well, right? But it's saying, hey, let's talk about it. I like you enough that I'm going to be able to have this conversation and I appreciate you enough, as opposed to if it was really bad, I could just fire you. Right. But I don't want you because this is an odd anomaly. You've been performing fantastic for 5 years. And this one thing, it blew up really bad. Right. But over 5 years, I have given you enough. I filled enough tank. We have enough rapport that I can deliver some really bad news. And it's not. So I think people think, oh, accountability, I can't do it. It's because we haven't put the love in it. They haven't put that piece in it to hold people accountable, clear expectations. That is depositing into the bank.
Yes.
It's giving them a guardrail and they know what is expected. You are saying, here's what I want. And every single week when you hit it, dang, go Judy, go girl, you're fine. Like, and letting them run and roll. And that is all depositing. I don't have to say, here's a candy bar, here's a $25 gift card. All those things are good. Don't shoot me HR people. I love them. Right. All those things are still good. But you don't have to do that. And then you can have a hard conversation and it's not, it doesn't blow up.
Yeah, no, that is excellent advice. And again, it's something that some leaders are fantastic at and others may lack a little bit. And that's okay. But you're out there. This podcast is out there. Other people are learning and hopefully they hear this. And even if it affects I always say if it affects one person, one manager, then we've done our job.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good advice. Very good.
Thanks for letting me jump in on that one. So
rapid fire. I'm going to just kick off some questions here and I need top of mind. You don't even know what's coming. So one sentence every leader should start using tomorrow.
I think the conversation is, I appreciate, say that one more time. Let me just make sure I'm doing it one more time. I just want to grab it because I think I got it.
One sentence every leader should start using tomorrow.
I'm always talking about how we deliver, right? And so it's more about the delivery than the sentence itself, but it's always, I very much appreciate you, Judy. And right? And then it's saying, okay, but I need to do this. And so when it's coming from a place, it's hard to say, like, what do you say? Because it's so ingrained in me, but it's like, I want people to start to say, like, you're going to have to edit this.
I know.
Edit this one. It's the ship sandwich. Put the good and then the bad and the good.
Yes.
I have to say that. So,
You got positive, negative
feedback, and then positive again. So,
the ship sandwich. I like that.
Yeah, and I'm going to use that in the world of that.
Let me ask a question again, and keep with the I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I think that was a good word.
Okay.
So ready to go again. Okay. So are you ready for rapid fire? I'm going to ask you questions that are just top of mind.
Yeah.
So one sentence every leader should start using tomorrow.
Yeah, I would start off with saying, if we were using this true practical, Judy, like, I appreciate you, Judy. Thank you so much for 5 years of dedication. Everything that you've done has been absolutely exceptional. We had a situation yesterday that, right? And so starting it that way, right? Starting it off with the positive, starting it off, there is not an employee, I don't even care if they've been there 30 days. There is not an employee that doesn't deserve some sort of praise in front of it. And I don't want it made up, but you guys, we got to know our employees.
Right.
We got to be able to do it. In the world of EOS, when we talk about managers, 60% of their job is managing the humans. 60%. And we don't have that. And the reason why we don't have that is people are not giving them that grace to be able to do it. And so if I am that, I know, I don't care if it's 30 days. I just want to say, Judy, when you came in with us, we were in such a bind and you helped us out, pick us up the slack for the last 30 days. Thank you so much for doing that. Except I've got a bit of a situation where I need you to pick up more slack. I need you to actually execute this job better. We've had some problems with the product that you're producing, right? And we just have that conversation. It's always about that. And then in the end of it saying, like, again, I just want to know how much I appreciate you. How do you feel about this? How are you feeling about this conversation? And so sometimes we deliver these conversations as one-sided, like boom, and they don't have any feedback to us. And I think that's probably it's not really a sentence, it's kind of a dialogue too. So sorry about it. I'm not landing the plane as I call it. But making sure that they understand. And so I always say, hey, what did you hear me say? And are we on the same page of what I need from you now?
Yeah.
And I have them echo it back to me because people do hear things differently.
Absolutely.
And when you're delivering hard news, sometimes they just shut down.
Yep.
And so sometimes you need to pull that. So I would always say, good news, deliver the hard one, finish off with the good news again.
I like that. That's an area that I personally need to improve on is
It's hard.
Wrapping up. Did you, getting consensus and buy-in.
Yeah.
Okay. Worst phrase a leader can say.
I'm laughing so hard because this happened to me yesterday. One of the leaders said that he said to the employee, "Are you kidding me?" Like, right? And so it just shuts them down, right? And so the worst phrase you can do is shut the employee down, whatever that is, and be like, "I've told you 17 times that's not the way we do that." Like, right? And so it's really just anything that's going to shut the employee down and make them cower away. If you're going to do that, just fire them. Like, don't even put them through that kind of thing. And so the worst phrase is any phrase that will say, it gives them the idea that they might be, you're believing that they're not intelligent enough to do the job, they're not capable of doing the job. You're never going to get anything back out of them.
Yeah.
So any phrase.
See, and that's awful. Could you imagine going to work every day and having a boss that was just demeaning and then having to come home to a family and you probably release that negativity on the family?
sure,
It's just the biggest whirlwind. Okay. Fill in the blank. Leaders who don't set expectations
are the cause of 50% of the problems in their organization.
do
They own 50%, like, right? So they're not setting those clear expectations. I tell our teams, to be a great leader is to be and model what is a great parent. We've got to show them the way. We got to walk the talk and talk the walk, right? Or whatever that expression is. But if we're not doing that, then you are the reason, right? And so if you haven't set clear expectations, you haven't set processes right, you haven't inspired them, you haven't led them, you haven't do that, everything that we create as leaders that is great, we can own.
Yeah.
Everything that is happening in our organization that is not, we need to own as well. And so I say as big as 50%, because if we're not doing that, we own that, right? And so you can put a great person in a bad system and the system will win.
Yes.
You will lose the great person. They will not stay. So fix the system, fix the 50% that is causing the turnover that's happening. There's some root cause of what's going on. Sometimes it's people, sometimes it's leader, but that would be my
there's 100%. Yeah.
They are the cause of that.
Then they're seeing that, and you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Fastest way to align a team in under 60 seconds. Fastest way to align a team in under 60 seconds.
I have to say in under 60 seconds, or that I have to align a team in 60 seconds.
What's the fastest way to align a team in under 60 seconds?
Gotcha.
Yep.
Go. Weekly accountability, weekly check-ins, weekly talks. What are they doing? Clear expectations.
Okay. Kind of like the halftime huddle, right?
Yeah, right. And just and course corrections, small course corrections. Hey, Judy, stay wider on the midfield. Stay wider. Very quick. Course corrections. Keeping the circles connected.
I like that. Very good. All right. This is a big one. It's Friday night. Would you rather relax at home or be social?
Be social.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
I get energy. Sometimes I don't want to go out, like, right? So I'll just use it at any night. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I've got to go to a networking thing. And I kind of walk in there. I just love the feel of being around people. Maybe because I'm a sole entrepreneur. And so when I'm with my teams, I'm great. And with our teams, it's an all day affair. And so sometimes I just had one last Friday and I'm like, oh, I just want to get home and do that. And someone's like, hey, meet us for drinks or whatever. I'm like, oh, heck yeah. And I get an energy from it. I get a love from it. I get a feeling from it. it's got to be the right people. It's got to be the right vibe, right? And so sometimes I'm like, yep, I don't really want to go do that because I'm just not going to feel the love. But my tribe, my people, you, I'm all in. I would be exhausted and be like, Judy's like, you want drinks? I'm like, yep, I'm in.
Yeah. All right. Great answer. Great answer. Yes. Thank you so much. What a great, fun, encouraging conversation that we've had. And give the audience a shout out. If you are a small to mid-sized business owner, if you are a manager or leader and you think that your team or organization, give us a shout out. Yeah, come find me. I have my own podcast as well. So Judy, thank you very much for allowing me to be on yours as well. And so you can find me on Apple and Spotify. I'm all over LinkedIn. I always joke around that there's only really one Michele Mollard. If it's a Michele Mollard with a guy picture, he's a gentleman in France. Literally, there's a Michele Mollard spelled exactly the same way. It's a gentleman in France. But nice. So find me on LinkedIn, engage with me. I know that Judy, you do exceptional job with the show notes and all those things. But even if you're not a team that wants to start running on EOS, I love this stuff. I love helping. And so someone's like, hey, I think I'm a good leader, but I want a little bit. Call me. Call Judy. Like, I just love doing it. So just hit me up with whatever you need and love the conversations. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Founders Hustle. I would absolutely love to know what resonated with you the most from today's guest. Go ahead and drop me a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. Also, if there's a future topic that you'd like me to touch on, go ahead and drop that in the comments as well. But no matter where you're watching or streaming your favorite shows, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on social media. Tell a friend about this. I would love the support. But in the meantime, keep living, keep growing, and keep hustling because you are meant to do great things. See you next week.